This is not something that I say lightly. And it's not something that I wish I had to deal with. I can guarantee you that my sister would want to hold out as much hope and caringness as she could for a man like Mr. Royval and hope that he would be better. But despite that, I think proper punishment is life in prison without any possibility of walking through.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Mr. Royval, what is your true name? What is your date of birth? That you are guilty of murder in the first degree, kidnapping, a dangerous, non-repetitive Class 2 felony, sexual assault, a dangerous, non-repetitive Class 2 felony, and sexual assault, a dangerous, non-repetitive Class 2 felony, all having been committed on or about December 9, 1995. I have read and considered the pre-sentence report and attachments, the sentencing memorandum submitted by counsel, the pre-sentence hearing testimony, and I was the trial judge for this case. Does the state have a position on sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor. Among the things that the defendant claims this court should consider as mitigating factors involve what he calls his history of doing good deeds for friends and family, his history of gainful employment, the lack of a known violent history, and some history of drug and alcohol abuse.
When Freddie is sober, Freddie has many fine qualities. The state is really arguing to you that it's because of these good qualities, in part, that you should give him the maximum sentence. The state's arguing that because Freddie's capable of sacrificing his time and energy for his friends, that his drug and alcohol problem must not have been serious, must not have affected his actions, could not have contributed to his behavior to society. And he can still contribute and help other people learn from what has happened to him. We would ask the court to please impose 25-year sentence.
I would like to address the Sanborn family.
Please keep your comments directed to the court.
I'm truly sorry for the tragic loss of Bonnie Sanborn. She was a mother, a best friend, a wife. She was everybody. She was everything to everybody. And it was a tragic loss that she was wrongfully taken.
The defendant sought treatment for drug and alcohol cruel, as Mrs. Sanborn was conscious and suffered pain and distress during the assault and crime. The court further finds the crime was heinous and deprived, as the injuries to Mrs. Sanborn were beyond those necessary to kill, and constituted gratuitous violence. Further, the rape of a dying woman characterized as a heinous and deprived murder. Therefore, as to count one, murder in the first degree, it is the judgment and sentence of the court that the defendant be imprisoned for the remainder of the defendant's natural life. As to count two, kidnapping, it is the judgment and sentence of the court that the defendant be imprisoned for the aggravated term of 21 years, with credit for 1,272 days of pre-sentence incarceration. This sentence to be consecutive to the sentence in count one. As to count three, sexual assault, it is the judgment and sentence of the court that the defendant be imprisoned for the aggravated term of 21 years, with credit for 1,272 days of pre-sentence incarceration. This sentence to be consecutive to the sentence in counts 1 and 2. As to count four, sexual assault, it is the judgment and sentence of the court that the defendant be imprisoned for the aggravated term of 21 years, with credit for 1,272 days of pre-sentence incarceration. This sentence to be consecutive to the sentence imposed in counts 1, 2, and 3. Further, the court imposes a fine as to each of the four counts in the amount of $150,000 plus a 59% surcharge. court finds and orders restitution in the amount of $53,700.
This turned out to be a good deal for the state in terms of the death penalty not being applicable here.
Well, I think it was an excellent deal, both for the state and, more importantly, to the victim's family. Closure was mentioned several times today, and you know that even if we are successful at the trial court level in obtaining a death penalty conviction, the years of appeals and uncertainty are much harder for the families to deal with, even more so than waiting for the original trial to culminate. So we thought that was clearly in the best interest of this case.
And the judge's decision in terms of stacking all the
I'm grateful that the judge understood the severity and the egregiousness of this murder, and certainly took into account the victim's need to see justice done in this case, and that's certainly how they feel now.
Kathy, did Mr. Royval get the maximum of every single count?
He did, yes he did. He received the maximum on every count.
And what did it add up to?
Well, 63 years on top of natural life.
63 years for the 3 other counts.
Correct.
The assault and the kidnapping.
Correct.
How important was the DNA evidence?
The DNA evidence was crucial in this case. And I think the remark I made in there, if you remember the testimony from the trial, was frankly, Mr. Royval came very, very close to escaping apprehension for this crime altogether. Had an offhand comment not been made about Mr. Royval's being in the neighborhood, we never would have collected his buccal cell samples. And that was all we had that linked him until we discovered the hair, and that also had DNA. So it was absolutely crucial in this case.
What motive did Royval have for killing and raping Mrs. Sanborn?
I think that sexual assault was the motive. You can't speak to a logical motive to a crime like that. There is no such thing.
Was he on drugs or was he drunk?
I think that's what he wanted the court to believe. There isn't any independent evidence.